This year as a whole has been very interesting, to say the least. A few words I would use to describe this year would be highly ghetto, highly ghetto, a mess, a joke, learning lessons, humbling, recalibration, resets, revive, rejuvenate. These are all words I would use to describe this year. And we're gonna jump into why that is with my 2022 recap, as well as 29 lessons I've learned in honor of me just recently turning 29. Let's hop in. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, what's up? My name is Andrea and I'm super glad that you are here, okay? Also, do you guys like the Vlogmas intro? Let me know in the comment section, okay? I want to see your comment down below, okay? Cool. First, let's get into the 2022 recap, okay? This is a very real, honest, transparent video, okay? So, 2022 recap, all right? So I'm just gonna read through some of the things that have happened within this year, okay? Okay. First and foremost, lost vision and purpose. Sorry, I'm laughing, and I will tell you why I'm laughing towards the end. It makes full circle, okay? This is not a depressing video. I just want you to know that up front. Lost vision and purpose within my business. Hit a season of depression and anxiety. Had relationship issues due to me prioritizing business and only business. Struggled getting adjusted to my new role. So I got a new job this year. And I really struggled getting adjusted to it just because it was in a new field. It was still digital marketing, but in a totally different field that I had to then learn that on top of then learning the company as well. Overdrew my bank account. Yeah, that was, we talking about humbling moment. That was your girl. I dug myself even further into debt, both car payment and credit card. Remember, this is not a depressing video, so just hang on. It gets brighter, okay? I lost weight, but then I gained it all back. So that was fun. And then I also got laid off. So just a bit of a joke. Again, just a bit of a joke of a year, okay? However, there were some amazing good things that happened as well. And I'm literally reading from my computer if you guys are curious. I had a really successful launch recently. So I have a group coaching program called Infinite Audience, and it is freaking phenomenal. It teaches entrepreneurs and small business owners how to really get visible and get paid online and get in front of a global audience for their product or service-based business, okay? So anyway, we had a very successful launch. We hit our numbers. It was amazing. We did that last month, okay? So successful launch was a good thing. Also, I got a new job, which again, like I told you guys, I got laid off from that job as of recently. We're still gonna put that in the good things category. Next is God helped me really regain my vision and regain my sense of purpose. Next is within all of this, God helped me to realign my priorities and really like understand like what's important and why business can't be the forefront of everything and the only thing I actually focus on. So realigning my priorities. Another good thing that happened was speaking engagements and was featured on some podcasts. And then also I started getting really serious with budgeting and actually like following my budget, which has been super helpful because then you know where your money is, where it's going, what you have like as fun money or spending money. Okay. Budgeting is amazing. And then also I got several signs of confirmation that content is what I needed to do in this season. Like creating content is what I needed to do in this season. So yeah. And then I also got a huge, like one of the pieces of confirmation within, hey, you need to be creating content was someone from a huge TV show that I absolutely love, huge TV show, reached out to me and we met up and it was a whole situation. Okay. So anyway, that was a huge sign of confirmation for me. And so, yeah, those are some amazing things that happened this year. So while, yes, this year was a bit of a crazy just situation, it was also a year of learning. It was also a year of just like getting my priorities back in line. And I feel really good. I feel like I just literally I was covered in mud for a minute, and I went through the car wash a few times, and I feel like I'm clean again. And not in the sense of like sin and then clean, not like that, like literally like dirty and then clean. So it feels really good being on the other side of everything. So now let's jump into the 29 life lessons, life and business lessons I've really learned in the past year. Because like I said, this has been just a wild, wild west of a year. So now let's talk about with the hills and valleys that this year provided me, just so graciously provided me this year. Let's talk about the 29 life lessons, life and business lessons I've really learned throughout this year. And I'm doing 29 as an honor, as an ode to me turning 29 this past month. So, well, 2 months ago, who cares? A few months ago. So let's hop in. Lesson number 1, and I put this number 1 for a reason, okay? Is to keep God first in every single thing that you do. It's foolish not to. The reason why I said that is, I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory. I would try to run ahead of God. I would try to do things without God. I would try to do what God has called me to do without him, which is just, again, pride, foolishness, stupid, dumb, okay? Don't do that. So keep God first in everything that you do. And I said it's foolish not to. Next is let go of control. Third is loosen up and have more fun. Number 4 is friends and family matter. Spend more time with them. Number 5 is your business is essential, but it won't keep you warm at night. Prioritize your relationships. This is so important. This one's for my entrepreneurs. Business is great, especially if God has called you to it. If God has called you to run your business, go after it with all you've got. However, in the midst of that, don't forget about the people who matter to you. Don't forget about the people who, if you need something, you reach out to. Don't forget about the people who have been there for you, you've been there for, and who you call your community. That's super important, especially as we're building our community online. Yes, our community online matters, but who are those people who you can really call whenever things get tough, whenever things get hard, whenever you need to cry, whenever you need to laugh, whatever else. Community is huge in like really fostering those relationships, especially as we get older. People start having kids, getting married, moving away. All these things, all these life events are happening. So what are different ways you can stay in touch with your people and make sure you're fostering those relationships? Because this year I hit a wall where I kind of looked up. One of my biggest fears was like looking up like within my business and then realizing like, where is everybody at? Where's my family? Where's my friends? And that kind of is like something that happened this year as well. So all that to say is keep your family and friends close and make sure you are fostering those relationships, even with calls, text messages, whatever that is. The next one is health truly is wealth. You need your body as a vehicle to get where you're going. Take care of it and make it a priority. This is a note I put to myself just because I, again, was focusing solely on business and solely running after that. And then when I burnt out on my business, there was nothing else there. And so anyway, the more you focus on your health, the better you feel in order to run after everything that God has called you to do. So that is why that is such a big life lesson, life and business lesson God has really shown me this year, is to be sure I am prioritizing my health as a whole. Next one is to build a budget that I actually abide by. I said not having one will make you either overspend or be super cheap due to not knowing where your money is / going. So I started budgeting using a system called YNAB. Love me some YNAB. It's like zero-based budgeting, like Dave Ramsey talks about, and it's phenomenal. So you know literally where every dollar is going and you're good to go. So I've been using YNAB, sticking to my budget, making sure I know what my fund money is and stuff like that. And then that way, if I do overspend sometimes, I have it where I have money in my account where I can allocate to cover those expenses, but I don't just let them like sit and fester, if that makes sense. Ew, fester is a gross word. Next is I told myself that I am not a good multitasker. Focus on 1 to 3 things at a time. Do it well. Focus is your strength. Number 9, a lesson that I also learned is take accountability for the results you have in your life. Stop blaming everyone and everything for why you haven't lost weight. Ooh, this is me speaking to myself. Hold on. Oh, okay, let me read that again. Take accountability for the results you have in your life. Stop blaming everyone and everything for why you haven't lost weight, gotten back close to God, and are in debt. Ouch. That one hurt. But that's a really good life lesson overall. Just as a whole, take accountability for the results you have in your life. Now, obviously, there are things that happen in our life that we cannot control, that we're kind of dealt. However, there are things in our life that we can do our absolute best to do everything that we can with what we have. So for example, I have been wanting to hit a certain amount of subscribers that I wasn't posting. And so how the heck did I expect that? Like, my actions were not aligning with the results that I wanted. I wanted to lose weight. I still want to lose weight. I still am going to lose weight, but my actions have to align with the actual result that I want to see. So that's really what that is. Another lesson, and this one hits home for me as well. I'm Enneagram 3, and so I'm an achiever. I like to be doing stuff, you know, but sometimes I can get caught up in thinking like I am what I do. And so I wrote a note to myself that said, you aren't what you do. And that's literally like, period. That's it. Next one is, a bad day is not a bad life, boo. Next one is, you thrive when you have a simple plan and can implement from there. The reason I said that is 2022 was a year of me, I said it was going to be a simple year, but then I really like overcomplicated a lot of stuff. So I was trying to do everything. I was trying to be on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all these different platforms all at once, instead of just like going all the way in on the things that I know that work. And not just with that, it's also other aspects of business I was overcomplicating. And so, yeah, I feel like at the end of the year, at the end of this like recent year, I've gotten really just like settled and good with the simple things, the simple yet effective things that are going to work. That way I'm not overwhelming myself, overdoing it, doing the most. No, thank you. So yeah, keep it simple, boo. The next one is, just because you feel stuck doesn't mean you are stuck. I think feeling and being are two very different things. And so sometimes when I feel stuck, I feel like I need to bust out of whatever that is, not realizing that it's not that thing that is causing me to feel stuck. It could be something else that's deeper that I need to really like work through. And I will say too, I started going to counseling. I should have added that to the good things list, but I started going to counseling, which has been absolutely phenomenal. If you're not in counseling, if you've never tried it, try it. I will say, for me of all people to be promoting counseling, I feel like pigs must be flying, because I used to go to counseling whenever I was a little girl and I had lost both of my parents whenever I was 13 years old. And, you know, my aunt wanted me to go to counseling. My family wanted me to go to counseling. Obviously, it was very traumatic. Okay. Very, very traumatic. But I hated counseling, and really because it wasn't on my own accord. And also I felt like when I left counseling, I felt worse than I did walking in, and I just hated it. I didn't want to dig up those feelings. And so as of late, I've been going to counseling for multiple things. And when I tell you, it has been an absolute game changer for my life. And for business and for health and for everything, just to have someone to talk to know they're not going to gossip about you behind your back, know they're not going to go talk about your issues to somebody else. It's just nice. And then having like a trained professional to be able to do so. So anyway, counseling has been amazing, y'all. Next is that depression is tough. Have sympathy towards those who have walked through it. And this is what I was saying. I actually just filmed another video talking about how God will help you be able to empathize with people by having you walk through a very similar situation that a lot of people are dealing with, so that you can help them on the other side. So that's kind of like what happened with me this year. And so I just wrote to myself, depression is tough. Have sympathy/empathy towards those who have also walked through it. Next is, you are never hopeless. With God, there's always hope. Don't give up no matter what the situation looks like. This year, again, like I said, has been highs and lows, which I can laugh about now. And like, I see God in all of it now. But baby, back then, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. No. So anyway, there's always hope. It's going to get better. It's going to work out. It literally always does. I don't know of a time where it hasn't worked out. It hasn't gotten better. And so anyway, just keeping hope and not sinking into that hopeless feeling. We have God, and when we have God, we have hope. Next, kind of going on to the other point, is to not make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. And this one is a bit deeper in what I'm meaning, okay? So this is a lesson kind of within the hopeless feeling, in the isolation feeling, and the anxiety and the depression feeling, not reacting off of your feelings necessarily. So maybe you're wanting to go cope with by drinking. Maybe you're wanting to go cope by eating. Maybe you're wanting to go cope by thinking of different types of things that you could do to end your pain, and realizing that those are things that are going to have long-term effects. So that's really what I'm meaning. And that, both for both of us, is something that I've learned this year overall. Next one is, who you are around. Let me read that again. Who you are around really does influence you. Choose wisely who you are spending the majority of your time with. Next one is, you are nothing without God. Whoop. Read that again. You are nothing without God. Stop trying to run ahead of him and not walk in obedience. Next one, I said, drink your water. You need it. Next one is another lesson I've learned is run from debt. It honestly freaking sucks. It sucks. That's it. Run from it. Next one is isolation doesn't seem like a big deal until it gets out of control. You need people, you need community. Don't get into isolation for too long. I'm an introvert. I am an extroverted introvert. So most likely you would probably never be able to tell I'm an introvert by hanging out with me or spending time with me, because I'm very outgoing and I'm fun, and like, I'm not saying introverts are not fun, but anyway, I'm just very outgoing, loud, like whatever. But I like the definition of an introvert and an extrovert is literally how you recharge. That is what determines if you're an extrovert or introvert. So I actually recharge by myself and just like time with God and just like chilling with myself. That's how I recharge, and I can come back into the world and be around people and all these different things. Like a lot of people think that introverted means you're shy, and it can be. It can mean that you're shy and you're meek and you're like chill, and extrovert is like, you know, but it really is based on like how you recharge. So I recharge by myself. All that to say is isolation, especially during the recent panini that we walked through. We got used to isolation a bit, and I realized I didn't like being by myself as much as I used to anymore because of that whole situation. And so not letting isolation get you down. I really believe God has created us to be in community. He created us to be in community with us. He created us to also be in community with other people. And so I highly believe that isolation can be really tough on your mental, and thinking that you're alone and you're by yourself in the situation or the season that you're walking through can be very detrimental. So that was a lesson for me, is to simply not stay in isolation. Like, I love my me time, but there does come a point where it's too much. So get out and like get back into your community, get back in front of your people, all that stuff. Next one is to manage your mindset. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, then, well, you won't. The next one is one that me and my counselor really had to talk through, you guys. And so this one is waiting well means doing everything you can with what God has already given you and called you to. Wait well as he directs you and gives you the very next step. Don't stay stagnant or stuck. That's not what he's asking to do. We think of waiting on the Lord being stay still, don't move. No, waiting on the Lord means, okay, God, if I'm praying, God, for you to bless my YouTube channel. But in the midst of that, if I'm sitting on the couch, that's not waiting well, right? Waiting well is waiting in action and doing everything we can with what we have. Okay. So that's one of the things that I've also learned this year. Now, that's not saying don't rest, don't sit on the couch. It's not saying that, because like rest is another big thing I learned this year, honey. Get your rest in. Okay. No more hustle, grind culture. Not doing that. Get your rest in. But anyway, waiting in a way that is honorable, that is giving glory to God with what we already have. So for example, you guys, I was sitting on the couch and I was just like, man, I really want a new camera. Without the new camera, I can't create content. I want to create this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And I forget that I have all these things that I once prayed for in order to do everything that God has called me to do right now. And that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother lesson right there. But doing everything we can with what we already have is what waiting well truly means. And that's something that my counselor, that alone is worth all the counseling fees. That alone. Because when she told me that, I said, you know what, lady, you right. You real right. And that right there was something that helped me. Because you always hear, wait on the Lord, wait on the Lord. But I'm like, okay, God, well, how do I wait on you? Do I just sit here and wait for you to like, boop, like make it happen? Like, what do I do? Because I'm such like an action taker. I'm such like a mover, I'm a shaker, like doing all these different things, like making it happen. But waiting on the Lord is simply doing everything you can with everything he's giving you in that very moment as you wait for the next thing that he's moving you to, the next season, the next whatever that is. And so anyway, that's one thing that has really helped me, is just understanding what waiting well really means. Next one is that if God gives you instruction and direction, run after it. Don't wait, don't hesitate. Don't delay it. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. Okay. So run after everything that God has called you to do, has been a lesson that I've learned this year, and I see why. And I will say too, there's nothing wrong with asking for signs of confirmation if you're really not sure. If you're sure, if you know, and you're still asking for confirmation, I would say check in with God on that. But if you are like, okay, God, I need to make sure this is what I need to do, and you just, you need some clarification overall, that's what I needed. And when I tell you, I prayed for confirmation, and God showed up in so many ways to confirm what I had been asking about, what I've been praying for, and that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah. Next is that anxiousness is a sign that you need to spend more time with God. This year, like I told you guys, I struggle with anxiety, and usually whenever I feel anxiety, I can feel it in my throat. It feels like my throat is like not closing, but it's like tight is the best way I know how to explain it. And so what I've realized throughout this year is like whenever I feel like that, it's usually a sign. It's always a sign to spend more time, like quality time with God, like more quiet times with God. And I'll link a video of like how I spend quiet times with God. It's an older video on my channel, but it's still true to what I do today. But yeah, it's just a sign that I need more time with God. Next is that though it may feel like God has left you, it doesn't mean that he has. There was a lot of times throughout this year that I felt completely alone, and I had to, that's where your faith really gotta step up and be like, no, the enemy's over here trying to whisper certain things in my ear, but I know that's not true. I know God will never leave me, never forsake me. And that is where like the power of you knowing your word comes in, you meditating on scriptures. That way, when those times do happen, you can fall back on those scriptures that you already have in your mind, that you already have memorized overall. So yeah. Another one is be nice, slow to anger, and slow to speak. I think with this one, I think this year I have really learned the power of perspective. And just because I have a certain perspective, a certain viewpoint on one thing doesn't mean that I'm right. And I want to allow room for others to add perspectives as well. Okay. That doesn't mean that they're right or that I'm wrong or that they're right. And well, whatever, all the other alternatives, but, like realizing the power of just overall perspective and realizing that you're not always right, and humbling yourself enough to know that there are possibilities that you can explore if you just kind of like put yourself aside for a second. Next one is to use your time wisely and intentionally. Yeah, I fell in love with TikTok really like a year ago. And then this year was definitely TikTok year for me. And there's nothing wrong with TikTok. Obviously, I still love TikTok. I'm still on TikTok. But the thing that I will say is like spending 3 hours on TikTok when I know I could have been using that to film other content, or I could have been using that to rest like I needed to, or using that to do something else. That is what I'm talking about. So like spending time intentionally, spending time wisely. So if I decide to sit on the couch and watch TikTok for an hour, okay, cool. But I want to intentionally decide to spend time, not just like scroll, then all of a sudden I look up and 3 hours are gone. That's not the vibe I want to do. That's not the vibe I want to be in. So anyway, intentionally spending my time, intentionally spending my time with family members as well. But the main thing is just like using my time wisely and not just letting like time slip by. I think one of the biggest issues I had this year is I felt so stuck. And what made that feel worse is I felt like the year was flying by, and I felt like the days and the hours were flying with me not knowing what I needed to do and which direction to go, and me still feeling stuck. I felt like literally it was like 2x speed flying by me. I was watching my life like fly by me. And that's what I'm saying is like using my time wisely. And so I literally, to get out of that habit, I got up and I walked in action into the thing that I believe God was calling me to do, and that I had got several signs of confirmation for. So anyway, yes. And the last one, you guys, number 29, is that habits matter. So build really, really good ones. I have some book recommendations for you guys too, kind of based on some of the things I talked about, some of the lessons that I've learned, and some of those book recommendations. So the first book recommendation I have for you guys is Atomic Habits, which is directly related to the last point, which habits matter, build good ones. It's a phenomenal book, okay? It talks about like build systems, not necessarily goals. You can have your goals, but build systems. Those systems are going to allow you to hit those goals and actually having action steps to get there overall. So Atomic Habits by James Clear is phenomenal. Purpose Driven Life, I started reading recently, and it's been really, really good. And like one of the biggest lessons I've taken out of that book is that we can give glory to God in anything that we do that is not sin. And whenever he said that, I was like, that's so interesting, because there's people who are giving glory to God through their hair care business, giving glory to God through their cooking in various different ways, though they're not like behind a pulpit like we normally think we have to do. And so anyway, I just thought that was like a really good point. I'm literally not even all the way through the book yet, but I just wanted to be sure I mentioned that book. So Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. Of course, the Bible by Big Man Upstairs, okay? By the Lord. I will link the Bible, the version of my Bible that I have down below in the description box as well for you guys. And I will link all these books down below for you. Crazy Faith by Mike Tide is just a phenomenal book if you're just trying to inspire your faith, trying to jump into that, just gain that like crazy amount of faith. It's literally phenomenal. I love that book. Also love The Church as well. And then also a book that has literally transformed my relationships, not just my romantic relationship, but my relationship with like my friends, with my family members, etc. Is a book called Love and Respect. It is a phenomenal book, and I highly recommend you to read it. I just actually filmed a video talking about 4 ways that we most likely can miss God, and the things that we're asking, praying for, the blessings we're waiting to receive. And so if that's the video you want to check out, I definitely recommend for you to check that out. And I talk more about the book Love and Respect and like all of that inside of that video. So I definitely recommend for you to check that out. So overall, you guys, this year was a year of recalibration, of rededication, of revitalizing my vision, purpose, my drive, like what I'm really doing this for. I will be honest with you guys, within business, the reason why I burnt out, and I talked about this in some other videos on my channel, the reason why I burnt out was literally because I lost the why of my business, which is people, which is you all. And I was so focused on like the monetary goals, right, that I was not focused on serving in the way that God has called me to. And so anyway, this year has just been recalibration as a whole. It's been me like being like burnt out of my business and then being revitalized back in it, me being burnt out of content creation, and then to come back and be like revitalized in it, to be, you know, to feel far away from God and not spending any time with him, to then spending time with him every day, as I can, as I should be, if that makes sense. So yeah, like it's been a year of realignment is really what I label this year as. And again, watch that other video that I just talked about, the 4 ways we can miss God in our life, because I talked about like mislabeling certain seasons. And while I did walk through a season of depression and anxiety, I also see now that season as a season of development, a season of realigning my priorities. And so this year, I give this year the word realignment. And I feel so much better. I feel like I literally just went to the chiropractor, got everything popped back into place, and now I'm off and running again, and I feel really good. So anyway, you guys, that was my 2022 recap. If you enjoyed it, let me know what your biggest takeaway was down below in the comment section. And as always, you guys, my name is Andrea. If you're new here, thanks for joining. Thanks for just being here with me and chatting with me through the 2022 recap. Let me know your biggest takeaway again down below in the comment section. And as always, remember that I am rooting for you. I love you to the moon and back, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.